Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to talk about a very basic way of learning Photoshop. So flashback to when I started Photoshop and I didn't know anything about it. I was in my second year of university. I needed to do something about my assignments. I had no knowledge about the Photoshop and it was really blank, but one of my friends told me that you just need to know some basics, cut and paste, and you are good to go. So this video is for those who are not looking for any kind of dynamic editing on Photoshop, but doing some cut and paste editing work for any kind of graphic. For example, you need to make any kind of collage, any kind of assignment related to that, or any kind of design graphic for a PowerPoint or anything. So that I am going to show you today how to learn the basics and can function the basic stuffs on Photoshop. So let's get going. I have Photoshop CS6. You can see my interface is black. Actually, I made it in this way. Some computers might have it white, gray. I just made mine black because I like it. So let's get started. So let's talk about the interface first. Over here, I want to take it over here and show you, but I hope I can get that back there where I wanted it to be. Yes, I can. So yeah, so let's talk about these. So here, this is the moving tool. These are some selection tools. Okay. So again, about the basic Photoshop, you just need to know how to select, cut, copy, paste, how to control stuff, and a very basics about the layers. So let's start with the tools. I have here the moving tool. There, when you press a bit longer over here, if you see here this tiny arrow, these will show you different kinds of selection tools, and you have here these I mean the M, which is for the shortcut for it. So let's say for the selection tool, when you come and hover about it, it will show you what's the shortcut on the keyboard. So when you press V, you will get these tools. This is another tool, which is lasso, polygonal, magnetic. This is another. This is very useful, the magic wand tool. This is a crop, and so on. So instead of showing you this, let me show you with a new file. And over here we have certain palettes. This interface again differs. You can play around how you want to place it. This is how I like it. So let's bring a file. Let's say file new. When you go on new, it gives you blank files. So let's say they have some presets. Let's say we have an international paper. They have A4, A6 and stuff like that. You have sizes in different units. Let me just keep it millimeter for now. Resolution, now here this is something to work with depending on what you want. If you want a very high quality image, I always like to work in centimeters, and for a good amount of resolution, for example, if you are printing something bigger, 100 per centimeter is more than enough. But however, I don't recommend crossing more than 200 or 300, otherwise the file usually gets very heavy. If you come here in the image size, you can see the sizes how it's going. So if I make it 200, it's going to go so big. So I don't recommend more than 100 or something. 100 is way more than enough, as I have experienced. Let's say grayscale. Grayscale, that means it's gonna be black and white. I prefer to keep it RGB colors all the time. So again, you see when you put the colors, it's going to be having more size. And let's keep the background for now white. You could pick a color, or you could make it transparent, but we can make that later also. And let's get going. So I have here, I have my rulers on actually. So these are my rulers. I can turn it on from here whether I want the rulers or not. Why the rulers, I am going to talk about in my later videos about these. So this is my black page. What does the selection do? Let's work with them. And here I have my layers. So how layers work, imagine you have a paper and you are placing tracing papers one top of the other. So that's exactly how layers work. They act like tracing papers. Okay, the ones who don't know about layers, this is how it works. So let's say I want to take I'm choosing here from here rectangle. I'm just drawing a rectangle over here. Okay, so I have selected this part. Now what do you want to do with it? Let's say I come here. When you right click, you have some options. Deselect, select inverse, that means anything other than this box is going to be selected. There are some other options, and there is one thing which is called transform selection. So you can change the selection from here and press enter. So this is how that works, and etc. So I have selected here, I have my layer here which is a background. It's still, I haven't done anything. So I want to make it some colors. Come here over on your right bottom. Okay, you have few options. Right now this is invalid. I will be saying you why. This is something which is a bit advanced level. Add a mask. I will not work on that now. Let's work on this black and white circle. You have different options. Now you have solid color, gradient pattern. Let's click on solid color. So what happens, if you see, you can make it into a solid color, and over here if you have seen, it automatically made it a separate layer. Okay, so let's say I have done it in this color. This is a layer. Now if I bring it down, if I bring this down, it's not going to go down anymore because of the background. So if this is an eye, so if I hide it, it's not gonna be seen. If I unhide it, it's going to be seen. So this is its own person. Okay, if I hide my background, it's going to be just a transparent background. So this is how things work. So let me work more on the selection tool, and the editing part we will be showing you later. So over here, when you see on the top left corner, you see different options. These are related to selections. So this with the first box, that means single selection. So I select this. When I select something else, the other one is going to go. That means I select single times only. Okay, let's select the second option. That means multiple selections. So I can select multiple stuff. The third one is subtract selection. That means I don't want this selection to be there, so I just deselect it. Okay, I deselect only this part, and the other is intersect with other selection. So this actually doesn't matter much. So if you can see how this works, let's say this, and this is intersecting. Okay, this thing, the same options work with different tools, but it's going to reset. So remember, when just look at this one, when I selected this elliptic, it got changed. If I select this one again, it will change, and so on. So let's select my elliptical. It's a round one. Okay, it's going to be ellipse as long as you control it, or you could select shift and you could make a perfect circle. Okay, this is, let's go about these lasso tool. This is like just to draw something, and this will give you a selection. After that, this is polygonal. It's making straight shapes. It could either make you, if you press shift, it will give you proper 90-degree lines, or you could just select something and it will be selected. And there is magnetic, that means it will trace something. So in this case, it will trace this shape, and it will create, when you double click, it will close the loop. So these three options, you need to close a loop because they work on lines rather than a shape. And the best one out of all of them is the magic tool. So let me show you. Let's try again with a solid color. Let's pick a darker color, and now I want to select all these whites around. So if I choose from background, it's not going to, because it's just a plain white. So cancelling a selection, either you can say deselect, or you can press Ctrl D, that means CTRL and D. So however, let's go from here. It's showing me I cannot select. So let's select I cannot, because it's a fill layer. Usually we cannot select anything from here. So what do? I right click, convert to smart object, and I can select. So if you see here, I have selected everything except my these dark colors. So I wanted second color, let's say this, and say OK. Because it's above my first color that is hidden, let's make it underneath, and I can see my first color. So if you see what I have done, I just click here, hold it, and just bring the layers behind, and that's it. Suppose I don't like the color, what do I do? So I come here, double click, and I can change my color again. Okay, I change my color again and say OK. So this is how the selection tools work, and what do you do with that selections. So we have again rectangular, elliptical, marquee tool. We have different lasso, polygonal, and magnetic tool, and we have our famous magic wand tool. Quick selection tool we don't use much. We actually, for me, I don't use it much, but it could be used by people. I don't use much. I use my magic wand tool because I love it. And this is what we have. Let me unhide this, sorry, hide this. So if you see here, this color, that one was covered because I only colored the places outside the shapes. So this is how it looks like. So I unhide this, I unhide that, I unhide all of them. If you want to delete these layers, you can press just delete, delete, delete. That's it. If you want to undo anything, you can press Ctrl Z, but that happens only once here. So this is something very strange with Photoshop. That means in any other way, when, for example, in Word file or Microsoft PowerPoint file, when you Ctrl Z repeated times, it goes undo and undo consecutively. But here you have to press, if you want to do more than once the undo, Ctrl Alt, then press Z. Keep on pressing Z one by one. I have something with my G4, so this is what happens. Again, when you press Ctrl Z, it's going to be going to same. So CTRL plus ALT plus Z. Okay. Let's say I want to do something different than solid colors. I want to do gradient or pattern. So I am doing a circle this time. I'm coming back to my background because I don't want to overdo or something here. I am doing a circle. I press my shift to make it a very perfect circle here. I want to do a gradient. So this is my gradient stuff. So for color choosing, we have different option. Okay, so when you press on this settings tab, you have all these colors here. Let's go to the simplest ones. Yeah, okay, these are the simplest ones you will get in the preset. After that, you can choose from here metals, natural density, and all that. You can also create your gradient from new gradient. Okay, you can double click, you can just click here on the color and you can choose from here. Okay, you can choose stuff, you can just do your stuff. You can increase the amount of white or amount of purple. You can choose the color here, what color do you want, and so on. After choosing everything, you can also choose a new one. After doing that, you come here, you have different options, whether it's a radial, it's an angled, it's a reflected, or it's a diamond. Also, you can change the degree or angle of it. Reflected, you can change the angle. Already this looks like a rendered metal, so yeah. Radial doesn't have much effect. You can have the linear, so which way the shadow is hiding or the shadow or light falls, you can do that. You can increase the scale of it and so on. And oops, I just said no. Just let's keep this one and say okay. When you are done here, you can go to move, because now it's a color. You can go to move here, the arrow, or press V and you can move it around. You can move this around. To control the size of it, you can press Ctrl T or CTRL plus T and you can shape it. Now when you are moving it, when you are rescaling it, if you see, this is like it's not moving in proportion. Again, what you could do in this point, you could come over here on the top, you could press on this link that is maintain aspect ratio, so it will conserve your ratio. Okay, if you see what is happening, you could increase it, decrease it, and when you press OK, enter, and you have your stuff. Similarly, I can let's do a pattern here. I select something, I choose a pattern. Okay, so you have similar ways, patterns, different patterns. Here there are different presets. If you see here, patterns, texture fields, artist surfaces, let's say. Let's go for texture field. Okay, texture fill 2. Okay, I have other stuffs are here. So again, you can change the scale ratio to make it bigger, or here comes an interesting stuff. What if I want to create a texture from a picture outside? What we can do, I will show that in a minute when I'm showing how to drag stuff. So for now, let's just keep this pattern, and again when I go from here moving, I can move around. If you double click again, you can change. Okay, you can change till this this selection is staying here. Once you convert this into a convert to smart object, or you do something over here, you cannot do it anymore. These are again some editing option, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. And I guess for now this is good. I think we can do that in a second part. So let me just bring this here. If you see how it's coming, because it's behind this here. Again, about the layers, what we can do here, there are some stuff how these layers appear. It could be multiply. If it's multiplied, how it comes, if it is like above, and it will show because it's a transparent plate thing. We could change the opacity from here of the layer. We could change fill layer and stuff like that. So yeah, and this is part 1, and I'm going to show more. So next part I am going to show how to bring the textures as a picture, how to edit one kind of the layers using these, the inner glow, outer glow. So part 1 and 2 is going to be about the selection tools, maybe about the eyedropper, and we could talk about more of these options, which is solid, gradient, pattern, and other stuffs. And the rest of the parts are going to come about all these. And so yes, see you next video. Bye.